Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's get into something today that honestly feels less like dry finance and maybe more like finding a hidden superpower for your money. We're going to unpack the incredible impact of small, consistent financial actions, how they build wealth, sure, but also real momentum.
Yeah, that momentum piece is key.
So we're digging into some really great source material here. We've got insights from an article called How Small Money Wins Create Big Wealth Games, and also some really helpful notes that you provided. And our mission really is to pull out the absolute best nuggets from all this to show you how simple, disciplined steps can actually lead to, major financial progress.
Exactly. It's so easy to get lost, isn't it? There's just so much financial info thrown at us. But understanding the fundamentals and seeing how they actually play out, how those small, repeated actions build into something big, that's the key to making real progress. So this deep dive, it's really about zeroing in on those core ideas and seeing them, come alive through the source material.
Okay, let's jump right in then. The main idea, the one that comes through loud and clear. Building wealth usually isn't about hitting one massive jackpot. Forget the lottery ticket idea.
Right. Not typically, anyway.
It's more about a series of small, smart moves, the kind you make consistently, over and over again.
And the thing that makes those small moves so incredibly powerful is, well, it's compounding. That's the engine, really.
hmm
Those little amounts, those actions that seem almost insignificant on their own, they don't just add up. They actually build on themselves,
Yeah,
like exponentially.
the classic snowball effect.
Exactly, the snowball rolling downhill. Start small, but gather speed and, importantly, size. Consistency is what makes those small efforts just grow and grow over time, significantly.
The article uses a really nice analogy for this. It says building wealth is like planting a garden.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it takes time, right? And it needs consistent watering. Those are your disciplined financial actions, and you absolutely need patience to see your wealth actually bloom.
You wouldn't plant a seed and expect a forest the next day, would you?
Definitely not. So this really makes you think, okay, where do you focus those small, consistent efforts?
Good question. And the source material, it highlights several key areas where these little wins, these incremental gains, are really crucial for building wealth.
Right. It kicks off with things like consistent investing. And the point isn't just trying to, time the market perfectly.
Which is basically impossible anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. It's more about establishing the habit of regularly putting money to work, even if it's just small amounts to start. Your notes also brought up following specific habits. The article makes this interesting distinction between what it calls wealth builders and money burners.
And those aren't just catchy names. Based on the material, wealth builders are people whose daily habits, their routines, actively support financial growth. Things like prioritizing saving, smart allocation.
The small, everyday choices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While the money burners, well, their habits tend to chip away at financial progress. So it's really about that daily discipline, not just the huge once-in-a-while decisions.
And then there's this vital point about protecting what you've built. The source brings up choosing assets that actually outpace inflation.
Can't forget inflation. It's the silent wealth killer.
For sure. And it mentions Warren Buffett's perspective here, leaning towards things like stocks and real estate to try and maintain your purchasing power as prices, inevitably creep up.
And it's not just about traditional investments either. The material also touches on strategic business choices, like the difference between selling services versus selling products. Apparently, the very structure of your business model can significantly impact your financial path. That's interesting.
It is. And even something seemingly straightforward like a mortgage. The article suggests there are simple strategies to pay off your home loan faster.
Which could save you a massive amount in interest over the years. Huge potential win there from small adjustments.
So while the source outlines quite a few areas, it gives this really compelling personal example when it comes to investing. And this one really brings that small wins adding up idea to life.
Ah, yes, the CRH story. This is where it gets really practical and insightful, I think. Walk us through that one from the notes.
Okay, so this individual, they invested in CRH shares. And they did it in two separate batches. A key detail they mention is using fractional shares, which is important, right? It means you don't need thousands of dollars just to buy one whole share of an expensive stock. You can own a piece.
Makes it so much more accessible to just start small. Get your feet wet.
Totally. And they share, the average price they paid was $82.02. Now, the results came relatively quickly, which is nice, but maybe not the main takeaway.
Right. Short-term gains aren't the whole story.
No, but the stock did jump to $98 in under a month. And on top of that, they were collecting steady dividends, which is a big part of the appeal here.
And CRH itself. The material knows it has what's called a wide moat. Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah, it's a classic investing term. Basically means the company has strong, sustainable, competitive advantages. Things like maybe brand recognition, patents, network effects, stuff that makes it really hard for competitors to muscle in on their territory.
So a durable business.
Mm.
And where did this person even get the idea for CRH?
According to the source, they found it through something called the Stock Market Genius Community. Apparently, it's led by an experienced investor trader, and they have a research team.
Okay, so they got the idea from a community.
But, and this is the really crucial part, the aha moment they describe, they didn't just blindly follow a tip.
Good. That's important.
Very.
Yeah.
They specifically say they did their own research on CRH. They looked into it themselves and liked what they found, especially those consistent dividends. So it was like guided insight, but then validated personally.
That makes so much sense. And it really contrasts with that frustration you mentioned from the notes.
Yeah.
Watching endless YouTube videos, reading tons of articles, but feeling like you're not making any actual progress on your own.
Exactly. Just spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
And that highlights the value they found in that community. It gave them clarity, yes, but crucially, the confidence to actually act.
That action step is often the hardest part.
It really is. And according to the source, for less than $2 a day, they got actionable insights that led not just to a win, but also a significant learning experience.
And that learning piece is huge. Taking that action, seeing the result, it prompted this person to think more intentionally about their own investing style, their own needs, asking themselves, okay, am I more geared towards growth or value or maybe income, like those dividend stocks?
And that's such a powerful prompt for you, the listener, too. What kind of investor do you want to be? Guided by your own research, your own action.
Good question to ponder.
No, it's shifting gears just a little bit.
Yeah.
The sources also had this fascinating little did you know fact. It was about Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Apparently, she didn't need a passport to travel. Her name and status alone essentially carried the necessary value globally.
Huh. Interesting. But what's the connection to finance?
Well, it's a simple point, but it illustrates quite nicely that true wealth isn't just about the dollars and cents in your account.
Ah, okay. It's also about the freedom, the access.
Exactly, the privileges it can bring. And the powerful takeaway here, the source suggests, is that you don't need to be royalty to start unlocking some of those advantages.
You don't need a crown to build financial freedom.
Precisely. The material makes it clear. You can start building smart habits right now, right where you are. Things like improving your credit score, consistently growing your savings account, investing regularly, even small amounts.
And those small steps, done consistently over time. That's what gradually opens doors, gives you better options, more confidence in your financial choices.
And ultimately leads to what the source calls real freedom. It's freedom that comes from having options, optionality.
Optionality, I like that.
Now, sometimes you learn just as much, maybe more, from watching big failures as you do from celebrating small wins.
True. Mistakes can be powerful teachers.
Right. So the sources include this section called Rich Reads Real Wealth, and it highlights the movie Too Big to Fail. You know, the one about the 2008 financial crisis?
Oh, yeah, I remember that intense stuff.
Definitely. And the big idea drawn from this, according to the source material, is pretty stark. When these giant financial institutions start to wobble,
It creates chaos.
total chaos, systemic chaos. It exposes massive risks, forces incredibly difficult, sometimes really awkward decisions, and ultimately it leads to enormous government bailouts. The notes specifically mention the $700 billion figure.
Wow, $700 billion. It's hard to even wrap your head around that number.
It really is. And the why it matters point from the source material is quite direct. It basically says, observing this whole situation suggests that too big to fail can sometimes look a lot more like too big to succeed without needing a massive government handout.
That's a provocative take.
It is. And look, we're just reporting what the source says here, not taking a stance on the policies themselves, but just noting the perspective offered in the material.
Understood. So given that kind of potential systemic meltdown, what's the actionable takeaway?
According to the source, the clearest action step you can derive from watching that kind of, well, financial train wreck is diversify. Diversify it like your financial life depends on it.
Don't put all your eggs in one potentially very large, very fragile basket.
Exactly. The hot take analogy used in the notes is pretty vivid. It's like watching a $700 billion train wreck unfold in slow motion.
Yikes. Okay, so how does this connect back to our main theme of small wins?
It's a critical counterpoint, really. While focusing on those small, consistent wins, saving diligently, investing smartly, building good habits is absolutely fundamental.
That's the foundation.
Right. But understanding the bigger picture, the broader financial landscape, and actively managing your risk through strategies like diversification, well, that's just as vital for long-term financial health and resilience. You learn that by observing those big systemic
So
failures.
it's both. Build brick by brick, but also understand the potential earthquakes.
Well put. So if we try to bring all of this together, the main message from this deep dive feels deceptively simple, doesn't it?
It often does, with foundational principles.
Don't get paralyzed by the sheer scale of the big picture. Focus on taking one small, smart step and then another. The real magic happens through consistency.
Absolutely. The sources really boil it down to those core actions, don't they? If you want to make more money, well, invest smartly. Do your research, like that CRH example showed. Act with clarity.
And if you want to save more money,
Build those wealth builder habits we talked about. Cut out the money burner tendencies. It all circles back to that garden analogy, really. Give it time, keep watering it with your consistent actions, and you will see growth.
the power isn't just in any single step you take.
No, not at all. It's in the accumulation, the way those steps build on each other, the momentum they create, and maybe just as importantly, the clarity and confidence you gain through that process of consistent action and learning. Whether you're trying to fight inflation or maybe scale up a side hustle or just working steadily to pay off your mortgage faster, every single small win genuinely counts. It contributes to your overall financial strength.
Okay, so that leaves us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to consider, building on everything we've just unpacked from these sources. If the biggest barrier to building wealth isn't really the complexity of finance itself, because often the principles are fairly straightforward.
Right, the how is often simpler than we think.
Exactly. So if the real barrier is simply knowing where and how to start taking that very first small, consistent step, what could that step look like for you? What could you do, maybe even starting today?